The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the Riv.
The day after Henri.
Day after Henri. Much to do about nothing. We missed it. I think
we got lucky.
Oh, yeah, we did, because it was supposed to hit Fall River fairly good. Somebody called me the other day and said, I can't believe it missed it. Right? And I said, of course it missed us. Henri started heading toward Fall River, saw the enter in Fall River sign. It took a left. I said, I'm not going there. So even hurricanes are avoiding us. So, but yeah, we were lucky. I figured we would be, because normally whenever I'm ready, we get nothing.
Right.
When I'm not ready, we get hammered. I got all kinds of stuff all over the place.
Well, I was so happy. I was so happy that I didn't lose any power yesterday. Yeah. You know, everything just went on the way it normally does, and it was nice. I know that today we're going to get hit with a lot of rain. It's supposed to start sometime after 2 o'clock, between 12 and 2 o'clock this afternoon. It will be worse between 5 and 6, and then it will be out to sea. So we can be looking forward to some more rain from Henri, but it's only going to be rain, no winds. And it should be, maybe some local flooding. Stay away from Stafford Square.
Yeah. Well, as I said, when you prepare, I spent half a day. I put weights in my barrels, tied the lids down so the wind wouldn't pick it up, and lashed the grill down. I had everything's all neatly tied off, and everything was ready. Put all the stuff that was in the yard into the basement, and so I did all that. We didn't get much. So
how'd the dog handle it?
It didn't really bother her. She like most dogs, she's not real happy with fireworks and thunder and things like that. She doesn't like wind either. She taking her out in between the heavy rain, letting her out in the backyard and going out with her. She doesn't. She turns around, gets right back in the house because
Bentley was doing that.
Not a big fan to win.
Yeah. Bentley was doing that yesterday too. I mean, he would not go out at all because of the wind. At first it was the rain. It was only a light drizzle. He wouldn't go out because of that, because he could see the water on the deck. But the wind kept him coming back in. Finally, when the wind let down just a little bit, I got him to finally go out and do his business. I mean, he must have been hurting because he hadn't gone all morning.
Yeah. Well, hey, we were lucky. Good. I'm glad. I hope everybody got through well, and that's where we are. So I actually received something on. Did you see the text about the article in the Herald News again about the blatantly political maneuver of the city council not approving the capital outlay?
Yes.
Yeah. And so the political season has hit us. I see the irony of that. I guess that there's been a response. There will be further responses, but I guess the mayor and the Herald News, of course they listed all the things that have to be done and should be done and stuff. But nobody ever mentioned the fact that all we ever do is spend money. And the city council's job is to ensure it's being spent properly, and they have a right to do that. So now it's being politicized. What they forgot to mention is, as usual, there's virtually no plan except plug up everything with capital outlays and federal money, and mortgage the future for all of us and our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and just keep spending money and plugging up holes that are going to still be there when that money disappears. And guess who takes it on the chin to pay for it? We do. Right. So no plan Coogan Again, what he's doing is, and he's using it to whine and duck the fact that he doesn't have a plan. Let's see a plan to reduce taxes. You know, you ran on, I'm not Jazel, and I'm not a thief, and you haven't done a damn thing. And it's ironic because the picture I saw, and my phone's on a charger now because I'd even read excerpts from the article, but I saw the picture of the irony of the police chief at a podium, and look at the problems we're having with the police department now.
Right.
There may be 50 cases overturned. And did Coogan ever issue some kind of directive, ever get into it on any department, whether it's DCM and their misappropriation of funds, whether it's the school department superintendent running amok? He doesn't do anything. He sits there and he just lets Fall River burn. He's
Nero.
He's Nero. That's right. He's the Nero of Fall River. He fiddles while Fall River burns. All these departments have descended into virtual chaos. There's all kinds of problems where rules and regulations are not being abided by. They're not. It's chaos in there, and nothing happens. He just keeps whining. They didn't give me the money. Well, guess what? I read that article this morning. The Herald News didn't point out. They said, well, they didn't act in 45 days. They failed to mention that he said he was going to take that budget back and he had work to do. He implied that he was going to work with the city council, and he ambushed them. He had no intention of working with them. And you see, that's what you get for assuming a politician is going to keep his word. So he said he was getting the budget. He said it on media that he was, well, I guess I got work to do on his budget. Yeah, with work to do is counting the days on a calendar that you could jam a budget. Herald News didn't highlight the fact that budget contained structural deficits, appropriations that were not appropriated because they needed individual appropriations, and a whole ton of pay raises for his friends. That is mysteriously missing from the article. It appears that the Herald News, to me, has picked a side in this election.
Oh, yeah, they definitely have. They definitely have. There's no question about it. I mean, Joe Good has written every article very, very, very beneficial, very pro-mayor, very pro-administration, no matter what. And she has not once called out the administration for doing anything like she did with Jazel Correa, like she's done with other administrations. The Herald News is, and obviously this may be a directive from the Herald News publishers. This may just be Joe Good's personal opinion that she likes the mayor because the mayor gives her, unfettered access to content. I don't know. I can't make that decision. But to me, it just looks like there's no impartiality, no neutrality in news reporting from the Herald News at this point in time.
Well, you're right, CJ, and it's so blatantly obvious. And the thing is that, all we have to do is look at what's happening to the United States all over the world. Lack of leadership causes chaos. Now, the United States has gotten a black eye throughout the world. We have our European allies outraged we have American citizens' lives being jeopardized. You know why? Because it's like a clown show up there. The Department of Defense says one thing, the other guy contradicts him. Then Biden gets up and he's off the rails. He's talking about, I've never heard anything negative. Well, there were headlines all over European newspapers about this debacle. So they ignore everything and just go on their merry way, and there's total chaos. Well, there's not supposed to be total chaos. Military units are supposed to abide by rules and regulations. Every department in this city has a set of rules and regulations. They have a job to do. Their jobs are defined. They have job descriptions. Department heads are supposed to maintain order and get the job done. And we saw what happened in the DCM. We saw what happened in the school department. We've seen what happened in the police department, and nothing. The man never stepped up, never got up and said, wait a minute, it looks like there's a problem here, and there seems to be no oversight by department heads. And where does the buck stop? On the 6th floor. The mayor should have stepped up, called every department head in and said, I want to review every department for compliance with all the rules and regulations. And remember, that independent report about the police department, the investigator, who obviously knew the Fall River Police Department intimately, and he was a retired police chief, who was the chief, said there were 18 violations of the rules, regulations, policies, and procedures of the Fall River Police Department. 18 violations. He didn't say how widespread they were, I don't believe. I didn't see the complete report. I just saw the excerpts. Did the mayor of the city of Fall River ever step forward and say, hey, there may be as many as 50 criminals back out on the street because their cases got overturned? You think you'd take a look at what's going on over there? Especially, but there's 2 new captains. You got plenty of supervision over there. It's a structure.
They got plenty of people working the desk.
Plenty of people working the desks, plenty of supervision. Well, why aren't the rules and regulations being abided by? I think that question, for the sake of the public and public safety, should have been asked by the mayor. But again, like he did with the report on Malone, he got a report that said there's a problem. And he did not a damn thing, is what he usually does.
You know, ignorance is no excuse. And I think that's what this guy's trying to do. Like he did with the report from the school department. You know, I recuse myself. I can't do it because my brother is the director of HR. So what? Your vote against Malone would have no effect on your brother or in any way, shape, or form affected your brother. Unless Malone decided he wanted to fire him. And even then, it has to come before the school committee. Then you could recuse yourself. You recused yourself because you didn't have the backbone or the cojones to make a decision, to make a statement. And even when a decision was made for you by the violator, the alleged violator, let's correct that. By the alleged violator, you still reached into your pocket or into this taxpayer pocket and paid out money. And we're going to still be reaching into the taxpayer pocket to pay out more money. How many lawsuits will it take against this administration? How many before the people understand he's costing you money? Money we don't have. And let's remember something. You know, it hit me yesterday again, and I was going to write about it, but I decided against it. He said that if he's elected, he's going to give us a 0.5% decrease in taxes next year. Wait a minute. Didn't he say he wasn't going to give us any increases this year? Oh, wait. Don't worry. That's a political promise. You don't have to keep it. But he can take 0.5% off next year. You know why? Because we're going to be adding probably 5% or 6% with the debt exclusion.
Yeah. Or even the TIFs, new TIFs go into the base. The base expands by a greater amount. You're right. But, you know, the problem I got is that you were talking about him recusing himself. Even if he said, I can't vote on it. As the leader of this city, you don't think he could have put political pressure on the Gang of Four by making a public statement that I feel is the mayor of the city of this Fall River, and not even going as far as what he should have done, in my opinion, which is use the sexual harassment policy that's a citywide policy to just suspend them pending firing and say, this man should not work one more minute in the Fall River school system. He should not be bullying and badgering and harassing people and calling people names and acting like the buffoon he did in the Brockton school system and the Swampscott school system. This guy had a record. He's a serial abuser of power. You think the mayor could have stood up like he's got a set? No way. He does what he always does, runs and hides. You can't say ignorance. It's not ignorance. He saw the report. He read the report. He saw the report on the police department. He saw 18 violations. You cannot have people who are running departments allowing rules and regulations to be disobeyed. A military unit cannot function, or any kind of business cannot function unless there's a chain of command and people follow and their orders and do the job that they are being paid to do. And as the mayor of Fall River, as far as I'm concerned, he had an obligation to stand up against the superintendent, to comment on misappropriation of DCM funds, and about what's going on in the police department. It's not an unfair question to ask what has been done and what is going to be done prospectively to ensure that everybody abides by the rules. But then again, he doesn't abide by the rules. He rammed the budget down and said, oh, well, I'm going to wait the 45 days and ram my budget down. And the Herald News skewed that article to make it, oh, look, they're pointing fingers. Well, I'm pointing the finger back because, look, that budget's got a ton of pay raises I don't want to pay as a taxpayer. You want to take that money and hire another police officer, hire another firefighter, hire another DCM worker. I don't want to pay these high-paid buffoons who are not doing their job at all, because we have total chaos in all these departments, and he's wandering around and ignoring it. It's not ignorance. It's lack of leadership and lack of decisiveness, and that's the problem. The problem is, listen, he's always been a subordinate. Whenever there was a major problem, he could kick it upstairs. He could kick it up to the superintendent. He could kick it up to the principal. He could kick it up to somebody else. But guess what? When you want to occupy the top rung, the buck stops there. And I'll tell you, we've got a lot of money accumulating up in 6th floor that he hasn't acted on. Maybe we don't need the capital outlay, because all those bucks that stopped in the 6th floor are still hovering up there.
No question about it. No question about it at all. The bigger problem is that as bad as he's been in handling these situations, okay, he's very good at spinning the negative. He's very good at making it look like it's your fault or someone else's fault, because he'll pick on that one word, that one phrase, and it automatically is somebody else's fault. And I'm sure that if the feds ever came down on top of him, he'd blame it on Mary Sahadi and say it was her fault, or blame it on the chief and say it was his fault, or blame it on somebody else. It's just the way of the beast with him. It's always somebody else's problem. It's somebody else's fault, because don't you want to go to heaven?
Yeah. But then I'll never see all my friends again. But you know the irony of what you just said, CJ, because there is a pattern. You know, some people just aren't leaders, and unfortunately, Paul Coogan is not a leader. He's always been part of a command structure that he is somewhere in the middle or at the bottom. He doesn't have it, and he can't avoid the fact that he doesn't do anything. He is the master of disaster, the man of inaction. Because I want to know, because he, like you said, he's great at taking a word, spinning it, trying to twist it on you. You're picking on me. You see, I want to do all these things and you won't give me the money, even though I may not need that money. All the city council is doing is trying to say, show us why we need to spend more of the taxpayers' money. And that's what they were elected to do. But guess what? I want to know one thing. I took the time to look at the educational attainment levels in the city of Fall River.
So have I.
And you well, correct me if I'm wrong. Every year that he was on a school committee, the attainment levels went down.
Correct.
So who is he going to blame for that? Isn't it the school committee's job to see those things?
No, he already answered whose fault that was. He already answered whose fault that was, remember? Remember his racist comment?
Oh, yeah, well, but that's not, I mean, that's just a racist comment.
No, but that's who he's blaming. He's saying because the schools are less than 50% white, they're not attaining what they need to attain. That's basically what he was saying. And this is the excuse that he has. Well, so, his racist attitude and his racist behavior is one of the reasons for an excuse. And I'm sorry, that doesn't fly with me.
Well,
that doesn't fly with me.
Not only doesn't it fly, it doesn't make sense because guess what? You know who the highest attaining students are and have been for decades? People of color, the Orientals. So, number one, that is an excuse. It's not a reason. It's racist and it's an excuse. It's not a reason because guess what? If students aren't achieving, what is the job of the school committee and the school department? To find a way to educate these children. So if he wants to revise that statement and say, look, I'm going to clarify this. All these students of color are stupid. They're incapable of learning. Well, he has a right to that opinion. I disagree. But the fact is, educational attainment is contingent on how hard you try to educate people. And as a school committeeman, he oversaw a constantly lower attainment level, and they didn't do a thing about it. And to use that excuse, and I remember that excuse, but I never read it. It just went in one ear and out the other because that's not a valid reason. You can't give me a reason that it's your job to fix it. You're on a school committee. It's your job to fix it. Just like it's his job to fix and determine why and ensure it doesn't happen, why 18 rules and regulations and policies and procedures were violated in that report. To determine why a department head thought it was okay to misappropriate money for work not done. For a superintendent to bring 4 or 5 lawsuits down on the head of the city and create a hostile work environment. But what did he do? Nothing.
But remember what was said about those lawsuits in the school department, okay? Whether it be by Mont Costa, the Gang of Four, or the school committee as a whole, Paul's still the chairman of that school committee. And they said the school department will absorb the cost of the lawsuits. Guess what? That means the taxpayer will assume the cost of the lawsuits.
Yeah, and not only that, if I was somebody from another community, I would be filing a lawsuit against Fall River because remember, the school department gets a tremendous amount of money from the state. That means it's not only us that's paying this; it's the entire state. Because everybody pays taxes to the state, and the state gives funding to the school department. So that's going to be part of it. And guess what? That shows, and I don't know who made the statement. We'll have to go look it up. The total disconnect and arrogance of that gang of four and that school committee of shifting the blame when they said, "Don't worry about it, we're going to pay." Is Mont Costa going to write a check? Of the 4 people, and I don't expect the people who tried to get rid of him, of the 4 people who kept him on the job and the person who recused himself, Are those 5 people going to write the checks for the settlements? Not in this lifetime. But the hell with the taxpayer. That's that cavalier attitude they all have. Screw it. It's only taxpayer money. Just run up the bill. Just like they're doing now. Another capital outlay, another debt ceiling increase. Who gives a damn? It's only their money, and let them pay, and let their great-grandchildren pay, and their great-great-grandchildren pay. We'll just run it. We'll just keep sticking our head in the trough, getting our pay raises, and the hell with it. Damn the people.
Damn the torpedoes. Full speed ahead.
It's a sad commentary that stuff like this happens, and
it's
happening now even on a national level. And the country is just unwinding due to lack of leadership.
Oh, no question about it. And we're not seeing anyone stepping up in a position of authority to make that happen. And right now we're looking at an election coming up on the 21st of September to decide which 2 candidates are going to make it through to the general election. We kind of have an idea already of who those 2 candidates are going to be, but I still want to hear what the other 2 have to say. I want to hear what all 4 candidates have to say, because as you said, maybe somebody will have a good idea. Maybe somebody will say something that, might change the way we look at this. But we won't know unless we hear them now, will we?
No, you're right. And look, just because they're unknown doesn't mean that they don't have some kind of idea that could be good. And that's the reason that we do this stuff. But this dodging, like you said, he's the artful dodger, and that's what he is.
There's a character name I haven't heard in a while.
That's right. It's been a long time, right? Since you read Dickens and stuff. He's the artful dodger, and he's good at that. He just deflects and deflects. Oh yeah, they won't give me the money. Look at all the good things I was going to do with the money. Well, you remember when he did the same thing on the school, when he kept dodging the fact that maybe we didn't need a debt override?
Right.
He always kept deflecting that. Oh, no, we got to have, don't worry, it's only coming till 23. And now it's not really the school we need the debt override for. We need the debt override because if you add the school with all the holes in the budget that he ran through, we need more taxpayer money.
That's right.
So again, he's just deflected his way, but there's always one as our federal government loves to say, there's one core issue, and that is there's no accountability, no leadership, and no consideration for the people who pay the freight.
Well, I want to remind the people of Fall River. I want to remind our viewers. I want to remind everybody within the sound of my voice that Sean Kadim said very clearly that Fall River did not need the debt override, did not need the debt exclusion, that there was money in the budget for it. And Sean's a pretty smart guy when it comes to money and finances. So for him to be able to say that then says something. Now, could he say it today? I don't know. But I'll tell you now, it would be interesting to see, because we are going to need relief. Because Mary Sahadi's already starting to talk about enacting the debt exclusion now because of the holes in the budget. If the money doesn't get transferred, we may have to reach out to the debt exclusion. The debt exclusion is not for that purpose. And that's what this administration and future administrations need to realize. Well, we're out of time. I want to thank you for inviting us into your home. Please stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.